The prioritization of high stakes testing shapes school climate. This is Jessica S. Lindsay, and this is for Education Curriculum and Instruction 5505. Throughout the throughout the learning process, the video resources, the readings, and even with my interactions to everyone, um, I found a common denominator of pattern of talks, thoughts, and opinions about how prioritization of high stakes standardized testing affects school climate, specifically, particularly with to teachers, creating a curriculum, and to students' disposition. I'd like to start how John Dewey describe about school. He says that school is primarily a social institution. Education being a social process, the school is simply that form of community life in which all those agencies are concentrated that will be most effective in bringing the child to share in the inheritance of the race and to use his own powers for social ends. And this is from his essay from My Pedagogic Creed. Eliot, on the other hand, defines school um, in how does it function to the society. He says that the function of schooling is not to enable students to do better in school. The function of schooling is to enable students to do better in life. U.S. school in 19th century has started the high stakes standardized testing. And what I realized, what I noticed, what pattern I come to think and process um, from all the readings that people in the educational field and as myself as an educator that they view education differently as high stake testing becomes the priority of the school nowadays. According to Philip W. Jackson, school is a place where tests and are failed and passed, where amusing things happen, where new insights are stumbled upon and skills acquired. Um, from Jane Addams, he says the business of the school is to give to each child the beginnings of a culture so wide and deep and universal that he can interpret um, his own parents and countrymen, in which is worldwide and not provincial. And to me, it talks about not just focusing on testing. According to Brian D. Skolch, school today seemed to revolve around standards, accountability, and measurement, rather than focusing students' ability to learn through problem solving. According to Elliot Isner, the formulation of standards and the measurement of performance were intended to tidy up a messy system and to make teachers as school administrators truly accountable. Furthermore, he says schools are likened to businesses, and the survival of the fetus is the principle that determines which ones survive. If schools don't produce effective results on tests, they go out of business, or basically, they go out of fundings. So, what are the effects of high stakes standardized testing to school? According to Elliot Wessner, I quoted directly this line that for me describes the effect that school have become places to mass produce. That school, in my own reflection and connection, as the school prioritizes high stake testing or high stakes standardized testing, students are likely like or behaves like factory workers doing the same items simultaneously, or a factory workers because factory can make a different thing, but making the same item, the same thing. The school climate we educators feel at our school is the system put in place for us to be accountable to our practices. Others may view it as a positive challenge, but I see it as devaluing teachers' ability and passion for what they love doing. For me, this is what I love doing. Teaching is what I love doing. But if I will be measured, but if my effectiveness is going to be measured um, through my students' test scores, I just realized that it is not social just because with the high standardized um, testing nowadays, it feels like we have to prove our worth through students' results, and that it should not be acceptable. And I just realized that throughout the discourses, throughout the readings, throughout my analysis of what is the common denominator across um, the views of the scholars, the philosophers, the researchers about the effect of high stakes standardized testing. So I say, would it be helpful if it should be if the system put in place strategic support to teachers, funding teachers' salary over spending machineries, and all of those logistics of testing all students across the country? Needless to say that it's hard sometimes to trust our students because unconsciously it is what we receive from the lawmakers. So how does it affect creating our curriculum? How does it affect school planning and designing curriculum? But let's see, how does Franklin Babette define what is curriculum? He says that it as applied to education, curriculum is a series of things which children and youth must do and experience by developing abilities of things well that make up the affairs of adult life and to be all respects what adults should be. And this is from his book Spectacular Things Happen Along the Way. Um no, this is from the curriculum readers and from Brian Scotch, not very sure with this, but um, from his book, Spectacular Things Happen Along the Way, he says that curriculum is a collective work of the class. Um, I am really amazed how this author showcase a beautiful work of what it is like when students and teacher design their curriculum. He explained to students that curriculum is an act of trying to answer the what's worthwhile questions, like what is worth knowing, doing, thinking about. The way we think, furthermore, he says the way we think about curriculum can be a form of resistance in times when curriculum is continuously being reduced, weakened, limited, or commodified. So, what's the effect of high stakes standardized testing affect the creating curriculum? And I quoted directly from the work of Elliot Isner. He says that the curriculum gets narrowed as school district policies make clear that what it is to be tested is what is to be taught. So again, go back to what is the priority of the school put in place by the lawmakers, the state. Next, tests come to define our priorities. Last one of the areas that marginalized is the arts, an area that, when well taught, offers substantial to students. So we go back to, if the school prioritizes those core values, because those are the subjects that the state want to see learning from, then the school eventually, or the school designed their curriculum that will address to those needs, to this demand. So I see it like that, and I see it the way these researchers, these authors from all of this work put together about explaining the effects of high stakes standardized testing. Um, and so with that, I quote this statement from Gloria Ladson, from the interview from one of the video resources. She said that because of that prioritization of high standardized testing, and she didn't actually mention it directly, but because of the climate that we have now, um, it actually becomes learning very constrained to our students. And I see the connection of this because I've witnessed some teachers teaching how the student should be learning to take correct answers, how learners to behave during testing, how learners should be thinking towards testing. And we all know that education is a social institution, according to John Dewey, that it's not just about the academic development that we offer them, that we are obliged to work with them, but also their social skills. And so with that prioritization, it gives us the inability to see the sheer brilliance of this generation. She says that this is the smartest, the most innovative, and the most creative. And I super agree. Our students are very smart. And this is because technology has improved. All the knowledge, all the information nowadays that we go to the library to find, this time is at the tip of their finger. And so it is a challenge for us teachers to design a curriculum to heighten up, um, to develop more critical thinking than just doing what they already know, doing the things that they can accessibly do. All right. So with that, how does it also affects the disposition of teachers? According to Noel Nutting, he cited this statement from McNeil that can be found in the curriculum readers. He says that it demoralized teachers who claim that the quality of their teaching has fallen. Also, he said that school personnel cheat to make their school look better. So sad. I have not experienced to any school I work with, but after reading this, it opens my eyes. The the unhealthy competitive competition of teachers across, of other teachers um around us. I don't see teachers in my school doing this. I think we're very much using the data to help our students. Um, and again, with others that run after incentives, that run after those fundings, um, how school leaders demand those need. I can see that this is possible to happen to any schools. From Elliot Isner, from Elliot Isner, he states that teachers in high-stake testing programs find ways to cut corners by unfairly helping students get higher scores on the tests. Again, I have not seen teachers doing this at my school, but it's really an eye-opening how the competition, how the demand of prioritizing the score can put teachers to this position. And lastly, how does it affect students? How does it affect students' disposition? Um, I quote this directly from Noel Nodding. The effects of today's emphasis on the traditional academic curriculum for all children, coupled with high stakes standardized testing, are already depressing. Reports abound of the second graders unable to sleep on the night before the big test, claiming sick stomachs on the day itself. For this one, I have seen a lot of students experience the anxiety. Um, I've seen students making excuses on the day of the test. So it is very evident. Um, I don't know about, I'm not speaking um, for all, but I've witnessed and I've seen, and even this week where NWA testing is coming up, students are feeling the air, the warm air going around. Um, Second one here, students in high stakes testing programs find ways to cut corners by cheating. So similar as how teachers in competition to the score, it's also how students think of it. Because again, the system put in place incentives, fundings, and school demanding that. And so as it goes to teachers and students get that vibe, I have to do this test well to get something else, but not intrinsically coming from their own motivation. Um, Last one from again from Elliot Isner. He says that it needs to students um want to know just what it is they need to do earn a particular grade. To me, it's the prioritization of high stakes standardized testing hinders students to think um beyond what they can capable of doing. So with that, I end my slides with what are my hopes. And I say I hope for social justice in education. The policymakers revisit the implementation of high stakes testing across the school in the US. My hope is not to abolish it, but to make it strategic and purposeful so that we can allow students to cross the threshold of the school, providing environment that enable youngsters in our school to find a place in the educational sun, that we diversify those opportunities by providing wider opportunities for youngsters. And this is from the readers curriculum. Also creating an environment that teaches students independently without direct instructions by designing a curriculum according to students' needs. As Bill Ayers mentioned on his interview, he emphasizes that the environment is the third teachers. So why not utilizing it? Lastly, to prioritize relationships and connections to students. And this is from the one of the most favorite video I've watched from the video resources we have. Um, the talk of Rita Pearson's about every kid needs a champion. That no significant learning can happen without a significant relationship. And that's all. And here's our the references and the videos I've chosen to incorporate to take evidences um, and support to my argument, my claim about the effect of high stakes standardized testing shapes our school climate. Thank you.